I love throwing parties, but it never fails. There is always so much leftover food that you never know what to do with. Don't worry, I've got you covered. For this first recipe, I'm using up these hamburger buns, and then I'm just going to spread on some of my favorite marinara sauce. This is the Rayo's. This is their spicy version, but I love it so much more than any other marinara sauce. So we are just going to add some to our hamburger buns, and then I topped mine with some Monterey Jack cheese because that's what I had left over. You could definitely do Parmesan cheese if that's what you have. Add a little pepperonis, and I'm adding jalapenos to mine because I like that extra spice. To some melted butter, I just added garlic powder and parsley. Now you could definitely top this with another bun, but I didn't feel like doing that because this was for lunch. I thought that might be a little too much, so I just added on that melted butter. We're placing these in a 350-degree oven for about 10 minutes, just until that cheese is melted and they are nice and crunchy. Super easy lunch. Your kids will definitely enjoy this one. Next up, for our leftover food, we are just going to start off with boiling some water. The leftover ingredients for this was this queso, and I know you're saying this isn't leftover, you're literally making it right now, but this is what happened. I realized that I bought Velveeta cheese, and then I went to the store again and bought more Velveeta cheese, and then my mom ended up bringing queso, so my queso didn't get made, so we're going to go ahead and make it for this video since we used all of hers up. For my pasta, I just poured an entire box of elbow macaroni, and then for my queso, I'm adding 1 block of the queso blanco with 2 cans of the hot rotel. Now this is definitely spicy, so you could just do the original or the mild rotel. For our meat, I had some leftover hamburgers that were just seasoned with like garlic powder, salt, and onion powder. So I poured in half of a cup of the ground beef along with 4 cups of the cooked macaroni, and then the rest of it my daughter is having for lunch the rest of the week. Stir this together and making sure nothing sticks to the bottom, and then we are going to go in with 1 tablespoon of this Cajun 2-step seasoning just to give it an extra flair. Stir this all together and it is ready to serve up. This was so tasty and super easy to put together. Next up, we are making ground beef and shrimp nachos, and for our leftover ingredients, I have this Sprite. It is 0 sugar Sprite, so I'm just putting 1 can's worth, which is 12 ounces, adding that into 1 pound of frozen shrimp with a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, a teaspoon of cayenne, and 1 teaspoon of onion powder. For our jalapenos, I'm just dicing up 2 jalapenos full with the seeds and the membrane for some extra spice, adding that into our shrimp mixture, and then just squeezing in half of 1 lime, and we're just going to pluck a little bit of these cilantro stems in there, adding in some salt. We are just going to give this a good stir and place this in the fridge for 30 minutes. To a hot skillet, melt down 2 tablespoons of butter, and I did add a little bit of that marinade that the shrimp was in into our skillet. You're just going to cook this together until our shrimp is completely done. Fair warning, if you do add the jalapenos in this, those jalapenos get very, very spicy. I just went back in with a little bit more of our seasonings, paprika and cayenne powder, with salt and pepper to taste. Once our shrimp is done, I just microwave the rest of the ground beef and the leftover queso into a pot. Add your chips, your ground beef, the shrimp, and the queso, and whatever extra toppings you would like to add to this. I did a couple dollops of our homemade salsa. If you haven't seen the recipe for that, I'll leave it linked down below. I added a little bit more cilantro. This part was a little Pinterest versus reality. As you can see, I put it on a cookie sheet thinking that taking the pot off, it would be a really good shot, and it was a little lackluster, but I just smoothed everything out. I'm gonna top it with a little bit more cheddar cheese that I already had shredded, and we are just gonna place this in the oven on broil until our cheese is nice and melted and everything is heated up. This was a super easy way to use up a lot of our leftover ingredients, and it was super tasty. Next up, we are making little smoky casserole. For my leftover ingredients, I have these hot dog buns that I'm just smushing down. We're gonna place this in the oven for 7 minutes at 350. To our hot skillet, we are going to combine the leftover hot dog chili that we had, and this is my PSA to Wolf Brand chili. Please, for the love of God, bring back your hot dog sauce. I miss it so much. But to the chili, add add in some barbecue sauce, and I know this does not look super appetizing, but I promise it is so delicious. Then squirt in a little bit of mustard, and I did not measure anything in this recipe because honestly I was experimenting as I went. So we're just adding in a dash of onion powder, salt to taste, and then for a little smoke, adding in some chili powder. Again, stir this together until it is fully combined. Now for our little smokies, I'm using half of a bag here because that's what we had left over from our party. They are fully cooked, so we're not really worrying about cooking them, just want to heat them up. Once our buns are complete, then we are going to top it with some cheddar cheese, place it in the oven for an additional 7 minutes. I hope I gave you some ideas of what to do with leftover party food. If you need some quick family dinners, check out this video here, and I'll catch you guys there.